Welcome to a very special episode of Third and Three. I'm Jason Holcomb, your host. And as you can see, I'm not joined by Coach Roger Holmes for this episode. I'm actually joined by another football coach and a recent Hall of Fame induction for Georgia Southern University, or as I like to call it, the GSU. There aren't two. There's just one. Class of 04. Very proud of it. Mr. Taz Dixon, Coach Dixon, it's such a pleasure to have you here on the show today.
Thank you, Jason. It's a pleasure to be with you. Thank you.
Well, first off, has it sunk in yet that you're going to be part of a host of very important people in Georgia Southern tradition and history? I mean, I think about Irk. My favorite picture of Irk is at Shamrock Bowl because, that's people forget that's where the first practices and stuff when Georgia Southern was getting off the ground, they did it in Dublin. And do you remember that?
It's funny. It's funny you brought that up. I just the other day, I've got that picture in my phone where Coach Russell is kneeling down in the middle of the field with the Shamrock sign behind him with the school board. And a lot of people don't realize or remember that in fact was the very first scrimmage game or game, if you will, was played at Shamrock Bowl. And I just the other day that came across as I was looking up in my phone, looking at some pictures, and that brought back some old memories. It's amazing. It's been a while.
So has it sunk into you that you're going to be in and around those types of people when you're talking about Hall of Fame with the Eagles and the tradition that the Eagles have? Has that really sunk in yet?
No, it hadn't. And when I got the call last Thursday at 4:15, from Jared Benko, the AD, it caught me off guard. It's been something, Jason, that I've been looking forward to, and in hopes that one day that it would happen. And it's taken a little bit longer than I probably would have liked, but nonetheless, it's here. And I would not trade those years and those life experiences for anything. The people that I was involved with, and coaches and administration and players, it was an experience unlike any other.
And a pair of national championships to boot like that. My kids didn't realize, and my wife didn't either. Just a few minutes ago, she's like, Georgia Southern's won national championship. I'm like, baby, yeah, we've won our share. We were the North Dakota State before North Dakota State was cool. We were the and I try to explain to people that there's a tradition there that's hard to describe. My oldest is there right now, and there's just something about Statesboro. It's just a unique place.
Yeah, it is. It is. And again, I wouldn't trade anything for those years again. And people don't realize I actually spent about 8 years of my life after graduation. I became a GA. And coached there for 3 years, but so I've spent a handful of years of my life in Statesboro. It's been a good experience, or it was a good experience.
Well, talking about good experiences, I feel like those early '80s and mid '80s Dublin football teams are special teams that sometimes get overlooked just because of the competition that we were facing at the time. We had some very high quality players like yourself stepping onto the field. People forget that the '85 team was the first undefeated regular season. And you think about our history with the 5 state championships and the state runner-up finishes and all the region titles. For you, what are some of the fondest memories, or is there a particular memory that pops up when you think about your time on the gridiron for the Irish where it's like, I'll never forget that?
Oh gosh, there's numerous. Well, one thing is having played football and coached for decades afterwards, I've watched the game evolve and for whatever reason, good, bad, or indifferent, just I've seen the game change over the years. And I'll refer back to the mid '80s when we were at Dublin. I can vividly remember, and when I say vividly, like it was yesterday, summer camp at Winthrop College in my sophomore year up in Rock Hill, South Carolina. I remember Laura S. Walker Park in Waycross, Georgia, summer camp. I remember those, back in 83, 84, 85. our region consisted of some really, really good football teams. And
Yes, it did.
not that there's not good football teams there now, but it was different. It was uh, gosh, I just remember those days in the heat, and the Coach Travis Davis was our head coach, and it was brutal, and it was brutal at practice with our team. Times are just different. I mean, obviously times have changed, but to get to the third round of the playoffs back then, you had to win sub-region, and then you had to win the second round, you win your region, and just to get out of your region play to get to the third round. And I'll tell you, with the likes of Dodge County, Americus, Georgia at the time was just a state powerhouse every year. You had us, Jones County, I think Swainsboro was in there, Peach County. I mean, it was brutal. But a lot of good memories, a lot of good relationships with those guys that I played with, and just a lot of good fun years.
Well, talk about a little bit deeper with Dublin High School in general. We've got a lot of history and tradition across the football and the school. Does that seem to follow you wherever you go? Do you feel like, I know for me as a class of 98 guy, like I'm proud to tell people where I'm from and what I did and how I did it. What about for you? I mean, because you've been coaching in a variety of different places over the years. Do you still feel like when you take off that shirt, whether it's Hart County or down in South Georgia, wherever, that there's going to be a Dublin on your chest somewhere?
Yeah, and it's a badge of pride we all wear. My dad, my uncles that all played, dad part of state championship games. I had an uncle was part of I want to say 63 state championship. My dad was 59. And anyhow, to answer your question, I think when the name Dublin High School is mentioned, through my travels over the years around the state, coaching at various places, when you mention the name Dublin High School, it resonates with people. A long historic, powerhouse in football, always has been. And let me just say that Coach Holmes, I'm assuming we're at 2 decades now.
We are.
With Coach Holmes, he has done a phenomenal job, and really, to his credit, in addition to some of the past years, to his credit, that when you do mention that name, Dublin High School, it means a lot to people because of the success that he's had, and the names that players that he's put out, and the lives that he's changed over those 2 decades, and it's just when it's mentioned, I will agree that it's known. People know who Dublin High School is, and probably more of them, more so than not, can tell you exactly where it is.
Well, through 100 years and 999 games to this point, number 1,000 happens August 19th when we host Wilkinson County. But who's one player that you wish you had the opportunity to coach?
Gosh, that's a great question. Over the years, you know what? Probably say just pretty soon after me would be Ryan Taylor. And I want to say early 90s, maybe.
Oh yeah, he was like a junior senior whenever I was a freshman sophomore, and I mean, you talk about a beast.
Yeah, and to watch him play at the size. I want to say his dad was a sheriff's department or something like that.
Right.
He's a real big man. But Ryan, for the position that he played, which is what I played in college, gosh, he was a monster. And what player. I think he wound up having a great season, a great career at Auburn from there. But I probably could think of a couple others. But he would stand out first for me.
Yeah, I remember as a freshman walking into Dublin High School for the first time, same school you went to, we're on the third or fourth iteration of Dublin High School, but that same campus, I walked in, and the very first day I walked up on Ryan Taylor and thought he was a giant. And it's funny because I'm 6'4". I grew into myself, and I remember I saw him years later when passing, and I said, "Man, I just want to tell you, when I walked up on you that first day of freshman year, I thought you were just a giant of a man." He goes, and he just starts laughing. He goes, "You're taller than me." And I said, "Well, I'm just telling you." And then, the legends of that playoff run with Coach Bars, I'll never forget that touchdown run that he did in the playoffs that got us into the state championship stuff. He was hurt. People forget that he had hurt his leg, and we got into overtime. And I remember I was having to listen to it on the radio because we had to go to my grandma's for Thanksgiving. And I was just so upset that I couldn't be there at the game. And I remember hearing Mike Kirby. You can't miss that gravel voice. Actually sounds a little like yours. And he starts talking, and all of a sudden, he gets through the hole. He's going to make it. All right. All right. And I just started freaking out in my station wagon, like having just a duck fit. I like, we won. We did. I didn't think we won.
How about that? Yep. That's awesome. That is awesome. Speaking of Mike Kirby, he coached me in recreation league.
Oh, that means you were a champion then, because he didn't coach anything but champions.
I'm telling you, we had, and it was who's who. I think back now, and there were some. Don't ask me to name them all, but there were some really good to eventually become very good football players that were all on those couple year teams that in way back in old recreation ball, Dublin Parks and Recreation Department. Mike Kirby.
Oh yes. Yes, and did y'all get to play in the Turkey Bowl at Shamrock Bowl?
Every single year. I can't remember exactly, but it seemed we played in it every year that we were in rec ball.
What did that do for you as far as when you got to high school? I mean, you'd already been familiar with the stadium, so what was it like being a little kid playing there and then turn around and come and play in high school? What was that like?
Oh gosh, are you kidding? That was a treat beyond for all of us. I mean, we were all scared slapped to death walking out there to that field. And a lot of people, it just here recently with our staff, we just finished up and practice this morning, and I've heard Shamrock Bowl mentioned 2 or 3 times by other guys on our staff that are not from Dublin, but the stadium itself, it resonates with a lot of people. Just from the design, that sits down in a hole, and it's the bowl itself, and a lot of people. There's a lot of stadiums across the state. The Granite Bowl here in Elbert County, right down the road from us. That people remember, it sticks with them, and I think the Shamrock Bowl is definitely one of those that resonates with a lot of people.
Well, I know you're up in the northeastern quadrant, and I don't know how often you get to come down here. I don't know if you've seen it since we did the upgrades last year, but we added turf and did a brick facade around the wall and did a bunch of scoreboard and everything else.
As a matter of fact, my dad lives right around the corner from the stadium, and I did come down, and I'm trying to remember. I think it may have been couple months ago, and drove over and saw the turf, saw the brick, and I was like, wow, man, that really looks nice. It really looks nice. Somebody did a really good job of seeing that, and then obviously getting it done. I'm assuming that's all behind Coach Holmes, but it really looks nice. It was always been a monument stadium to begin with, but when you go and put the brick and the turf down, and all the other facade changes, it looks really nice.
Well, I'll tell you, we're hoping that a lot more people come on August 19th to check out all of those improvements. And folks like yourself, I know you'll probably be busy game planning and strategizing, trying to get ready for a football Friday night yourself. So you're excused from attendance. But we want to make sure that we get everybody who played with you and around you over the years to come out, because the purpose of this show and so many other programs is we want to encourage people to come out and participate in a very special, momentous occasion. It's not often that you get to celebrate 100th season of a football program, but on top of that, we're going to get to celebrate 1,000 games of Irish football. And for us to try to get another W to make sure that that 1,000th game is remembered for the right reasons, we need everybody to come out. So, Coach, what's something you want to tell all the people out there in Irish Nation, especially all those players, all the coaches, the cheerleaders, the band members? What would you tell them to encourage them to come out on the 19th?
Oh, just ditto, repeat what you have said right there. I did not realize that we were at that point. Obviously, a historic program like Dublin is. Many years and decades have passed, but by all means, let's all get out and come out and support the Irish, and for that 1,000th game, let's make sure we get that win. And can't believe it's been 100 years of Dublin Irish football. Thing I can say or leave you with is go Irish.
Man, that's perfect. That's a perfect way to end it. We're not going to say anything else except to remind you guys, August 19th, Wilkinson County. It's our home opener. It's our 1,000th game. It's the start of our 100th season. Come out and support us. Coach Taz Dixon, it's such a pleasure to get to talk to you. We hope that you'll be back in town soon. Obviously, both us and your team are trying to go 15-0, so maybe it'll be at around Christmas time. But either way, I want to wish you the best of luck. Congratulations on your Hall of Fame appearance, and this has been 3rd and 3.
Awesome. Thank you, Jason, for having me, and go Irish.